So we're going to turn down Tony Revis, and we're going to greet our first finisher of the 2019 TD Beach to Beacon 10K. He is no stranger to being the first finisher, your 2019 wheelchair champion, Tony Nogura, Glen Ridge, New Jersey, with win number 12. Our second wheelchair athlete, Jason Robinson, Rome, New York, and Herman Garrick, Utica, New York. So our podium for the wheelchair athletes is complete. A round of applause for Tony Nogura, Jason Robinson, and Herman Garrick, your top three wheelchair finishers for the 2019 TD Beach to Beacon 10K. I mentioned Tony Nogura, 51 years old, from Glen Ridge, New Jersey. Jason Robinson is a 16-year-old from Rome, New York. And Herman Garrick, 29 years old, from Utica, New York. So we have gone mid-Atlantic, New Jersey, New York, New York, with our top three wheelchair athletes at the 2019 TD Beach to Beacon 10K. Our fourth wheelchair athlete, James Senbata, Chicago, who holds the course record for wheelchair competitors. And another strong finish for James. What's that? Yeah. Can you make it bigger? So I'll remind you, as we look at the clock at being at 25 minutes for the wheelchair athletes, it was 10 minutes afterwards that the elite women started, so it's just a 10 minutes approximately, or almost exactly a 10-minute differential. So the elite women now 15 minutes into their events, which would put them approaching, most likely, the midpoint race.
We have 4 men who have already opened up a gap. Number 19, Brett Robinson from Australia. Number 1, Alex Corio from Kenya. He's a sub-59-minute half marathoner. Number 4, Jarius Berich from Kenya. And Bashar Afi from Belgium, originally from Somalia. But Jarius Berich was third last weekend in the Pink 7-Run race in Davenport, Iowa, and he's the sharpest racer right now. He'll come up on the 1 mile mark very shortly. Here it is, the 1 mile mark. Boom, is the mile mark in.
This is Gary Brendel, 60 years old, from Sterling, Massachusetts. Gary has been a long-time wheelchair athlete competitor at many New England races. I can go back many years and where I saw Gary finishing amongst the top wheelchair athletes. Again, for those of you watching on News Center Maine, we were getting an update from Tony Revis out on the course. The first mile right around 4:10, 4:15, with 4 athletes separating themselves from the rest of the field, as another wheelchair athlete, Michael Olson from Waterville, New York, crosses the finish line. So we have had 6 wheelchair athletes finish. Last year's women's wheelchair record, 26:49, will not be broken this year. So Katrina Gerhardt, the women's wheelchair record holder and last year's champion, will have her record stand at least 1 more year. See if he's talking. See if he's talking. So as we approach now 18 minutes on the clock for the women's field, I'll remind you that we have one defending champion, Sandra Fellis-Chebet, running today, and the women's race record was set 2 years ago by Mary Catani at 30:41.
Not yet turned on Old Ocean House Road. We're still on Route 77. And it's still number 1, Alex Corio. Number 9, Bashir Abdi. Number 19, Brett Robinson. And number 4, Jarius Birich, who are the 4-man lead pack. They have at least, I would say, a
So for those of you watching on News Center 9, right now we're getting an update from Tony Revis out on the lead vehicle as they're getting ready to approach the 2-mile mark. There are 4 runners that are leading the race: Alex Coria, Bashir Abdi, Brett Robinson, and Jarius Birich, the 4 runners who are running at the front of the pack. So Tony now telling the spectators here at the finish line, as we get report from him at the lead vehicle, that Alex Corio may be the race favorite. Just do want to take this opportunity to thank those of you watching on News Center Maine. As they like to say at Wimbledon, it's breakfast at Wimbledon, so it's breakfast at 4 Williams Park, and we welcome you to the finish line of the TD Beach to Beacon 10K. Again, it's Alex Corio, Bashir Abdi, Brett Robinson, and Jarius Kipchoge Birich, who are the 4 lead males in our elite men's race. So as you can see, now past 30 minutes into the wheelchair competition. Our female wheelchair winner, Michelle Wheeler, Boalsburg, Pennsylvania, coming in just under 30 minutes, 30 seconds on the clock. This is Chad Johnson, Corden, Indiana. Your next men's wheelchair finisher for Michelle Wheeler, a first victory in wheelchair competition here at TD Beach to Beacon 10K. So how about one more round of applause for Michelle Wheeler, Boalsburg, Pennsylvania, your top female in the women's wheelchair competition. So our wheelchair races have been decided at the front of the pack. The other female wheelchair competitor in the field, or at least registered today, Christina Corris from right here in Cape Elizabeth, many times the female champion in the wheelchair competition.
In 4 minutes and 30 seconds, a 4:24 opening mile, followed by a 4:32 mile. That's an 8:54 split.
So again, for those of you watching on News Center 9, News Center Maine, Alex Corio now the leader, as Tony is telling us. They ran a 4:24 first mile and a 4:30 second mile. So right now on mile 2, they are on Old Ocean House Road.
Is really burying this field very, very quickly.
As we're now being told, Jarius Birich and Alex Corio are the 2 leaders of the TD Beach to Beacon 10K.
Orange and blue top, his dark blue Nike shoes and blue shorts flapping in the wind. The crowd cheers him on. Our lead cyclist pumping hard, trying to stay ahead of him. But Alex Corio from Kenya, who's got all the credentials you're looking for, has taken this race by the scruff of the neck.
And I stand corrected, it's Alex Corio, rather. Alex Corio has now taken the lead, and according to Tony Revis, has started to open up a bit of a lead here at the TD Beach to Beacon 10K. So that's Alex Corio, the leader of the TD Beach to Beacon 10K. So as we now hit about 23 minutes into the elite race, in just a few moments the timers will switch the clock from the wheelchair race to the elite women's race. And that will give us an opportunity to know exactly where they are in the elite women's race. And again, unfortunately, due to some extenuating last-minute circumstances, we were unable to get anybody onto the lead vehicle of the women's race, and therefore unable to get you updates this morning. But already this morning, a great story written as Tony Nagura, the men's wheelchair winner, makes it now 12 times that he has won the TD Beach to Beacon wheelchair competition. And that will also mean 3 of the last 4 age not catching up to him, as he is now 51 years old, starting this race in his early 30s, winning, and now winning in his early 50s. You put 2. So the women's elite field is now being reflected on the clock.
That breakaway mile was a 4:21 by Alex Corio of Kenya. He's got a 14-second lead over Jarius Birich, who is in clear second place.
So, again, for those of you watching on News Center 9, I can tell you that we're hearing from Tony Revis that Alex Corio has opened up about a 14-second lead over Jarius Kipchoge Birich.
As our leader goes by, he's wearing number 1, and he's living up to that number right now. He passed 5 kilometers, 13:43.
He ran a first 5K is 13:43.
5K in 13 minutes and 30 seconds.
He's about 13 seconds off of last year's 5K pace.
They went by in 14 minutes and 13 seconds.
But 2 years ago,
great run right now as we go back underneath
they were over
flag.
14 minutes at the 5K mark. So he's right about in the middle of the last 2
leading the way and heading home.
Winners. Just past the midpoint again, 13:43 was the 5K split for Alex Corio, who has opened up about a 14-second lead on Jarius Kipchoge Birich. It's unusual in a race like this, in this particular race, to have one runner this early starting to dominate. Usually it's about 3 or 4, if not more, in the first half of the race, and it's not decided sometimes until they get into Fort Williams Park. So as you heard Tony Revis say, Alex Corio with a lead, and as I was telling the folks of News Center Maine just a moment ago, unusual at this point in the race, in the early half of the race, that one runner has established a lead like Alex Corio appears to have established. Usually at this point in the race, you have 3, 4, if not more runners running together, and it's not until the last portion of the race that one runner will separate, and sometimes it doesn't get decided till the final steps here at Fort Williams Park. And in some years it is the hills that will decide it in the final mile. where one or two will take the lead and hold on to it.
And we can't see second place. He had a 14-second advantage at the 3-mile mark. There's Jarius Barrage in second place. It's a lovely tree-lined shore road as the
Again, for those of you watching on News Center 9, we're getting an update from Tony Revis that Alex Corio continues to open up a lead. So right now, in the final couple of miles or so of this race, it would appear to be Alex Corio's race to win.
He's heading for a sub-28-minute time.
On pace now to finish this race under 28 minutes, which has been almost the standard here at the TD Beach to Beacon.
Clear advantage for Jarius Barrage in second place over Bashir Abdi.
Jarius Barrage continues to be the second finisher with Bashir Abdi in third. But again, they have stretched it out with Alex Corio with what is turning out to be right now in the final 2 miles a fairly commanding lead over Jarius Barrage, and Barrage with a bit of a commanding lead we're hearing over Bashir Abdi. So we approach 30 minutes now on the clock for the women's elite race. Richard Agee, Irvington, Kentucky, is our next wheelchair finisher.
Beach to Beacon race history. I'm not sure that 27-28 course record set by Gilbert Akari in 2003 is under threat, but he's also not getting any help from the rest of his field as Alex Corio really did take the lead very early in this race from the gun. Went through it. Opening mile is 4:24, followed by a 4:30, a 4:21 third mile, now a 4:44 fourth mile.
Ladies and gentlemen, Christina Couris, Cape Elizabeth, a previous winner of the women's wheelchair competition, has just come across the finish line. This is James Anderson, Melrose, Massachusetts.